Let's talk more about this with Shari, Olefson, a real estate attorney. Ms. Olefson, thanks for coming into the studio this morning. So what do you think this increase in poverty in many suburbs comes down to?
Well, these folks are really coming from two different places, Stephanie. We've got, first, a lot of the folks who moved out to the suburbs to buy those McMansions during the bubble, which, of course, is where they were built because that's where there was land. And they really stretched too much and subsequently lost those. Many times are still living in the home but not paying the mortgage. That's one income stream. The second is folks who are finding that they're being pushed out of urban centers by gentrification, which is a phenomenon that we've had for a long time.
I want to talk a little bit about that because does that in some way represent the wealth gap in this country? The fact that richer folks are moving into urban areas and that is pushing poorer folks out into the suburbs.
The wealth gap is actually rearing its heads in several different places here. Correct. Most folks now, the trend is towards urban living, not only for younger people, but also for those 70 or 80 million baby boomers who are retiring. They want to live where it's convenient, produce their carbon footprint, those types of things. And so more than before, they're pushing people out of the cities. But also it's rearing its head in terms of who's actually buying those McMansions that were built. Because you'll recall in the last year or so, we had a lot of investors, Wall Street hedge funds, buying these scattered residential units. And that's where they are now, in these hardest hit areas like the Atlanta suburbs. And so we're seeing the redistribution of wealth there from folks who really stretched for the American dream to buy those homes, and now those homes falling into the hands of Wall Street again.
From your perspective, whose responsibility is it to do something about this issue, especially because being poor in the suburbs is a lot different than being poor in urban areas, a lot fewer services, less transportation?
Well, the suburbs weren't built for this population,
right.
And you hit the nail on the head. It really comes down to whether this is something that's going to be left up to the private industry or public. Now, already we're seeing builders like D.R. Horton going into areas like this and focusing on building more affordable homes in the 120 to 50 price range. So that's a great example of the private industry stepping in. When it comes to public assistance, are we going to enhance the transportation hubs there? Are we going to build more affordable units? Are we going to provide housing subsidies for people living there?
Or does it come down to just a sluggish recovery? Real estate attorney Shari Olefson, thanks so much for your insights this morning. Del.
And Stephanie, let's get another look at